Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and thank you for stopping by and visiting with us. I pray that wherever you are, you're doing well. Today I want to talk to you about what footprints will you leave behind when you're no longer here? Will people say kind or bad things about you? I also have a short story that I want to share with you that kind of goes with that. A story is told about a young man who served in Vietnam. And when his time came to go home, he called his parents with the good news, and they were very excited to hear about it. And before hanging up the phone, he said to his parents, "I have a favor that I want to ask of you." And they said, "Sure, what is it?" And he said, "I have a friend who was injured in fighting, and he lost an arm and a leg, and he has nowhere else to go, and I'd like for him to come and stay with us." And the parents said, "Son, you don't know what you're asking. You're asking us to take on a heavy burden that we're not able to do. And it's an inconvenience to us. We have busy lives, and we cannot be bothered with someone like that. I'm sure someone else will look after him." And the young man was very quiet, and he said, "I understand." And he hung up the phone. A few weeks went by. They didn't hear anything from their son, and they were worried. And a few days later, they received a phone call from a police officer from out of state. And the police officer said, "Your son died after falling out of a building, and we suspect that it was suicide, and we need for you to come to the morgue to identify the body." The parents were brokenhearted. They went to identify the body, and they said, "Yes, this is our son." And when they pulled the sheet away from the body, they noticed to their horror that he was missing an arm and a leg. How many of us are like those parents that we see handicapped people as being defective, as being a burden, or we see people that are less than attractive and think bad of them? There is someone that loves us unconditional, regardless of what we look like, and that is Jesus Christ, right? He never sees us as being defective or being less than. We have to be very careful how we see people, that we don't pass judgment on them, because that's not our place, right? I also have another story that I want to share with you. A couple years ago, a young woman called me after finding out that I did homeless ministry. She was very excited. She said she had a desire to go and feed the homeless. She had never done it before, and she wanted to go with me. And I said, "Sure, I could always use the help." And we made an appointment to meet on a certain day so we could go feed. And 2 days prior to us going, she called me back, and she said, "I'm sorry, but I cannot go with you. My husband has forbidden me to go because he says that the homeless are dangerous. He said that they're criminals and drug addicts, and they're not safe to be around." And this woman who said she had a desire to go and do street ministry and feed the homeless, she had that fire that was in her heart to do this. It was put out by the words that her husband told her. And because of that, she missed out on an opportunity to do God's work and experience what it's like to be out among the poor, doing God's work. You know, eventually we're all gonna have to leave the stage of life, right? When you do leave, what footprints are you gonna leave behind? When people think about you years after you're gone, will they have nice things or bad things to say about you? Think about Dorcas. She's a character from the Bible, and she was worthy of mention in the Bible. She was an elderly woman who used to do charitable works. She used to sew clothes for the widows, and because of her act of kindness, God found her worthy to be mentioned in the Bible. And all of these years later, thousands of years later, we still talk about her. So when you're no longer here, what will people say about you? Think about that, all right? And remember not to pass judgment on people. When we see someone with a handicap, don't look at them as being defective or being a burden to society, because that's not our place to be passing judgment on them. Like I said, that's God's department, all right? I hope this video gave you something to think about. Tell me what you thought about it, all right? And don't ever forget that God loves you very, very much, regardless of what you look like, all right? And to Him, you're not defective. You're not less than. To Him, when He sees you, you are beautifully made. And He loves you very much, all right? Don't ever forget that. Come back and visit with us. Bye-bye, sweetie.